Beyonce's mom, Tina Knowles, is pulling the plug on her second marriage, filing for divorce from her actor husband, Richard Lawson, after 8 years of marriage.
God, I remember when they got married.
I guess they're having issues. She asked the judge, interestingly enough, to terminate the chances of that either one of them could get spousal support. They're going to walk away, cut their losses.
All right, celebrity gossip fans, grab your popcorn and settle in because we're about to dive even deeper into the whirlwind saga of Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson's shocking divorce. If you thought the drama ended with the initial announcement of their split, think again. This story is layered with scandal, speculation, and secrets that have been brewing beneath the surface for years. The official narrative may paint a picture of a peaceful, mutual separation, but the truth, as always in Hollywood, is far more complicated. Let's unravel this tangled web together and explore every juicy detail that's been whispered in the shadows of Tinseltown.
Going through a tough time with the divorce and the remarriage of her previous husband. And we just took our time, we became friends, we hung out, we traveled, and little by little, all the things that were naturally connective, the connective tissue with us happened in a beautiful sort of evolutionary way.
We've all heard by now that Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson have finalized their divorce after 8 years of what many thought was a blissful marriage. But surprise, surprise, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. This wasn't just any run of the mill celebrity split. This was a breakup filled with twists, turns, and unexpected revelations. And the most shocking part, it looks like Tina might have actually been playing some serious chess moves behind the scenes. Word on the street is that Richard was planning to file for divorce first. Yep, that's right. He was reportedly getting all his ducks in a row to end things with Tina, but she beat him to the punch. Now, why would she do that? Was she trying to save face, or was there something she was trying to hide? Whatever the reason, it certainly adds an intriguing twist to the narrative.
59, I moved to a new city, got a new car, a new man, a new life, and it is possible. I envisioned the type of man I wanted. I prayed for the type of man I wanted, and I got pretty much that. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But, he has a lot of the qualities. He has a lot of the qualities that I love, and we're having a really good time.
So, what could have driven Richard Lawson, a man who once publicly gushed over Tina, to the point of wanting to call it quits? To understand this, we need to look back at their history, a history that's far from straightforward. Tina and Richard were friends for more than 30 years before their relationship turned romantic. And while that might sound like the foundation for a rock-solid marriage, some insiders suggest that their long-standing friendship may have crossed the line long before they officially became a couple. Remember, both Tina and Richard were married to other people during much of that time, Tina to Matthew Knowles, and Richard to actress Denise Gordy. The speculation that they might have been having an affair back then certainly raises eyebrows. Could it be that their relationship was built on shaky ground from the very start?
I know where the men are. I mean, it's been so long, and, where do you go? And especially at my age, right? So she said, oh, you know what? I'm going to call Richard. And so she called Richard, and he was having a class that night. And so she was like, so he said, oh, come by my class. So we went by the class.
Let's consider this possibility for a moment. If there was indeed an affair, that means their marriage began with a secret that could easily fester and grow, creating a divide between them. Even if their initial connection was based on mutual comfort and understanding, that kind of foundation is fragile at best. After all, how can you truly build trust when your relationship started with betrayal? And let's not forget the messy divorce between Tina and Matthew Knowles. Tina had been married to Matthew for over 3 decades, and their split was anything but amicable. There were public accusations of infidelity, children born out of wedlock, and a whole lot of drama. It's entirely possible that Tina carried some of that baggage into her marriage with Richard, and who could blame her? Being with someone for that long, especially in a relationship fraught with betrayal, leaves scars.
I guess we could start with me. Well, first of all, I met Richard 39 years ago. His sister was actually my best friend. So we met I was pregnant with Beyonce, as a matter of fact, when I met him. And I was married at the time, and I think you were married.
I was married.
I think you were.
Now, Tina and Richard's wedding back in 2015 was the stuff of fairy tales. The two tied the knot aboard a 140-foot yacht in Newport Beach, surrounded by family and friends. Beyonce, Solange, Jay, Z, Blue, Ivy, all were in attendance to witness what was supposed to be the start of a beautiful new chapter for Tina. And for a while, it seemed like it was They were the picture of happiness, making joint appearances and gushing about each other in interviews. Richard once wrote a lengthy Instagram post on their anniversary about how he'd been captivated by Tina for over 30 years, even back when she was married to Matthew and pregnant. With Beyonce, "I thought you were one of the most beautiful women I had ever met," he wrote. "The thing that was so striking was that your beauty continued to be enhanced by your incredible heart, compassion, empathy, generosity, and philanthropy." Sweet, right? But was it just a case of putting on a happy face for the cameras? Despite these public declarations of love, there were subtle signs that not everything was rosy behind closed doors. One major red flag that fans noticed early on was Tina's decision to keep her Knowles surname. Sure, it's understandable. Beyonce and Solange are both Knowles, and Tina built a lot of her brand on that name. But still, wouldn't most people want to fully embrace their new life as a married couple by taking on their partner's last name? Some saw this as a sign that Tina wasn't fully committed to the marriage, that she still had one foot firmly planted in her past. It was almost as if she wanted to retain her identity as the matriarch of the Knowles family more than she wanted to be Mrs. Lawson. And that's got to sting for Richard, right?
I went through my divorce. I said this time I'm going to pray for the type of man that I should have. And not just pick him myself. And I did, and I prayed for a man with integrity, that's artistic, that like to dance, that's fun, and just a good human being.
And then there's the matter of how Tina reportedly treated Richard during their marriage. Some close to the couple have hinted that Tina could be a bit dismissive, even belittling at times. Remember that infamous interview for the Black Love series? When asked if Richard was everything she prayed for in a man, Tina's response was lukewarm at best. Is he perfect? Absolutely not, but he has a lot of the qualities. The way she hesitated, the way she brushed off the question, it didn't sit well with a lot of people, and you could see Richard's face. He was visibly taken aback. Fans took this as a clear sign that Tina didn't quite see Richard as her equal, that she might have viewed him as more of a consolation prize than a true partner.
It was crazy, y'all. If she really feels like this, if this is how she communicates with her man, then I can see why Beyonce has had problems in her marriage. I can see the correlation here. Now, no shade, no tea. I just want to let it be known.
And this wasn't an isolated incident. Tina's social media has been peppered with cryptic posts that seem to throw shade at Richard, whether intentionally or not. She's shared quotes about the difference between excellence and perfection, about not expecting others to be perfect, quotes that could easily be interpreted as veiled criticisms of her then husband. Was Tina using social media to air her grievances? Was she hinting that Richard didn't measure up to her standards? It's hard to say for sure, but fans definitely picked up on the tension. Then there's the matter of the financial settlement. Now, this is where things get really interesting. As part of their divorce, Tina was ordered to pay Richard a one-time sum of $300,000. That's a pretty hefty payout, even for someone of Tina's means. And it raises a lot of questions. Why would Tina, who is reportedly worth tens of millions of dollars, need to pay Richard anything at all, especially when neither party requested spousal support? Some have speculated that this payment was less about finances and more about compensation for emotional damages. Could it be that Richard felt he deserved something for the way Tina allegedly treated him during their marriage? Was this his way of getting some form of restitution, or was it just a standard part of a Hollywood divorce settlement?
Just integrity, and just staying grounded. I mean, I think that's really important because you can be the biggest, best talent in the world, but it's a lot of ingredients that goes in to work ethic, being decent to people, treating them like you want to be treated. I think those things are just as important.
The property division also offers some clues about the dynamics of their split. Tina walked away with her Los Angeles mansion, a separate property in Texas, and all the luxurious furniture, artwork, and personal effects that came with them. Richard, on the other hand, got a 2021 Cadillac Escalade, some funds from his studio, and the rights to his creative works. On paper, it seems like a pretty standard division of assets, but when you look closer, it starts to seem a bit one-sided. Did Tina outmaneuver Richard in the divorce proceedings? Did she use her savvy business skills to secure a better deal for herself? Or was Richard just ready to walk away and start fresh, regardless of the financial cost? Adding more fuel to the fire is the non-disparagement clause in their settlement. Both Tina and Richard are prohibited from speaking negatively about each other or their families, particularly Tina's daughters, Beyonce and Solange, and their spouses. Now, why would they need such a clause if everything ended on good terms? This suggests that there might be more to the story than either of them is willing to share. Were there incidents or revelations that could potentially damage their reputations? Did Tina and Richard have skeletons in their closet that they're desperately trying to keep hidden? The speculation is endless, but one thing is clear. They both wanted to ensure that whatever happened between them stayed between them, stayed between them.
Yeah, 38, 39 years ago when I met her, she's my sister's best friend, and she said, I thought she was the prettiest woman I'd ever seen in my life. You know, she was quiet and shy and all of that, but that was all fake.
Let's not forget that both Tina and Richard come from tumultuous pasts. Tina's marriage to Matthew Knowles was riddled with public infidelity scandals, secret love children, and a messy divorce. Richard, too, has had his share of personal struggles, including surviving a plane crash in 1992 that left him with a renewed perspective on life. Both of them entered this marriage with baggage, and maybe, just maybe, that baggage was too heavy for them to carry together. Did their pasts catch up with them? Did they find that the comfort and companionship they once shared couldn't withstand the pressure of their unresolved issues? And speaking of unresolved issues, let's talk about some of the more outlandish rumors that have been circulating. One particularly spicy theory suggests that Richard may have been battling some personal demons, such as substance abuse or other self-destructive behaviors. Some fans believe that Tina, who's always been a pillar of strength and stability, just couldn't handle Richard's issues and decided it was best to cut her losses. On the flip side, there are whispers that Tina may have had her own secrets. Was she the one with a wandering eye? Was she unable to resist the temptations that came with her newfound freedom after years of being tied down to Matthew?
I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was a while back when they were on some type of interview and she was like really rude to him and just completely disrespected him. And maybe they never recovered from that.
Another interesting tidbit is the dynamic between Richard and Tina's famous daughters. Beyonce and Solange are fiercely protective of their mother, and it's no secret that they wield considerable influence. Could it be that Richard felt overshadowed or even undermined by the Knowles, Carter powerhouse? Was there tension between him and Tina's daughters that we don't know about? After all, being married to Beyonce's mom is no easy feat. Every move you make is scrutinized by the media and the fans. Did Richard feel like he was constantly walking on eggshells, unable to fully express himself or stand on his own 2 feet?
Some of them. And then she said, Richard, do you know any men you could introduce Tina to? And I was so embarrassed. I was like, you're making me seem really desperate. Please don't do that. But she did it anyway. And she asked him, and he said, well, what you looking for? Well, I mean, you know, I don't have a menu list in my back pocket. What are you looking for?
Fans have also pointed out Richard's noticeable absence from key family events leading up to the divorce. For instance, during Beyonce's European leg of her Renaissance World Tour, Tina was frequently spotted cheering her daughter on from the front row, but Richard was nowhere to be seen. This sparked rumors that there was already trouble in paradise. Fans flooded Richard's social media with questions about why he wasn't with Tina overseas. His cryptic responses only fueled the speculation further. Was he deliberately keeping his distance, or was he simply busy with his own projects back in Los Angeles? Whatever the reason, his absence certainly raised eyebrows.
Re-met Tina and we started hanging out. I felt a vibration because we vibrated on the same level. We talked about the same things. We had energy. We had a rhythm. We did things together, and it just was so natural that when her hand in mine was in mine, I felt a power.
Let's also talk about some of the more recent developments. There have been reports that Richard might have been unhappy with the way Tina handled their public life. Despite their years together, Richard remains somewhat of a background figure in the celebrity world. Meanwhile, Tina continued to shine as a strong, independent woman who not only managed her own successful career, but also remained a significant force in the Knowles family brand. Some sources suggest that Richard may have wanted more visibility, more recognition for his own achievements. Was he tired of being known primarily as Tina Knowles' husband and nothing more?
Like I said, a lot of times with Hollywood and those celebrities, you see, when you start to see a headline, it starts to be real, you know.
And then there's the question of age. Tina is 70 and Richard is 77. Both of them are at a point in their lives where they're thinking about legacy and the future. Did their priorities simply shift? Did they find themselves wanting different things as they grew older? It's possible that Richard, who has been described as something of a free spirit, was ready for a change, while Tina, always the planner and the matriarch, wanted to stay the course. When you're in your 70s, the idea of starting over can be daunting, but it can also be liberating. Did Richard see this as his chance to make a fresh start? Of course, all of this is speculation, but it certainly makes for an intriguing narrative. The reality is, we may never know the full story of what went wrong between Tina and Richard. Both have remained tight-lipped about the details, sticking to their non-disparagement agreement and keeping any dirty laundry firmly out of the public eye. But that hasn't stopped fans from speculating, gossiping, and piecing together the clues. From cryptic social media posts to awkward interviews and suspicious absences, there's plenty to dissect. One thing is for sure, this isn't the last we'll hear of Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson. Whether it's more revelations from insiders, all interviews, or even just the passage of time shedding new light on their relationship, there's bound to be more to this story. And you can bet we'll be here, ready to spill all the latest tea as it unfolds. So keep your eyes peeled, gossip lovers, because in Hollywood, nothing stays hidden for long. What we do know is that Tina and Richard have both started moving on with their lives. Tina has been spotted out and about, attending events, and looking as fabulous as ever. She's even been seen with a mysterious new companion, sparking rumors that she might already be moving on. As for Richard, he's been focusing on his work at Richard Lawson Studios, diving back into his craft and spending time with his children. It seems like both of them are determined to start fresh, putting their tumultuous past behind them.
If you are out there and you want to attract somebody, fall in love with yourself. And know your worth. You know, it really makes a difference.
But here's the thing about Hollywood breakups. They rarely ever end cleanly. There's always more beneath the surface, more drama waiting to unfold. Did Tina and Richard make the right decision in calling it quits, or will they come to regret it? Was their marriage doomed from the start, or was there something or someone else that drove them apart? The possibilities are endless, and the gossipabilities are endless, and the gossip mill is working overtime to churn out the latest theories. So, what do you think, folks? Was this just another case of two people growing apart, or was there something more sinister at play? Did Tina and Richard's marriage stand a chance, or were they always headed for a dramatic Hollywood ending? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. We'll be watching, waiting, and ready to report every juicy detail as it comes to light. In the meantime, let's keep speculating, keep digging, and keep asking the tough questions. Because in the world of celebrity gossip, there's always more to the story than meets the eye. And who knows? Maybe Tina and Richard will surprise us all and get back together. Or maybe, just maybe, this is the start of a whole new chapter for both of them. A chapter filled with new love, new drama, and of course, plenty of juicy gossip for us to sink our teeth into.
So I'm not really surprised, but I mean, she's kind of up in age to be trying to get a divorce. But, you know, whatever.
Fans have been buzzing with opinions ever since the news of Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson's divorce hit the headlines. And let's be honest, folks, there's no shortage of strong feelings on this one. From accusations of disrespect to sympathy for Richard, the internet has been ablaze with comments dissecting every possible angle of the split. So, what exactly are the fans saying? One fan put it bluntly, she was disrespectful and Richard Lawson is better off without her. She just looks evil to me. This comment seems to capture a sentiment that's been echoing across social media ever since that infamous Black Love interview, where Tina's lukewarm response to whether Richard was everything she prayed for left viewers cringing. It's not just about the words she used, but the way she said them, hesitant, almost dismissive, as if Richard was an afterthought rather than a cherished partner. For many fans, this moment was a glaring red flag that hinted at deeper issues in their marriage, suggesting that Tina's attitude toward Richard wasn't as loving or supportive as it should have been. Another fan echoed the sentiment, saying, she was very disrespectful to him. I have been married, and the way she talked to him was disrespectful and unnecessary. This comment points to a more nuanced understanding of marriage dynamics. Fans who have been in long-term relationships themselves could relate to how Tina's seemingly dismissive attitude might have hurt Richard. After all, marriage is built on mutual respect and admiration, and any hint of condescension or belittling can be a blow to the foundation of that relationship. For some, Tina's behavior was not just a one-off moment, but a pattern that spoke volumes about the underlying issues in their marriage. But not all fans were quick to criticize Tina without considering her history. One fan offered a different perspective. I believe him. I think Tina had a broken heart from Matthew, the one who cheated and disrespected her. Once she married Richard, her heart was broken and stone cold. She treated Richard how she wished she could have done Matthew. Richard, run. This comment adds a layer of empathy for Tina, suggesting that her behavior towards Richard could have been a reaction to the hurt and betrayal she experienced in her previous marriage to Matthew Knowles. According to this view, Tina might have been projecting her unresolved anger and pain from Matthew onto Richard, using him as a stand-in for the frustration she couldn't fully express in her first marriage. So, what do you think, gossip lovers? Was Tina too cold and dismissive toward Richard, or was she just dealing with unresolved trauma from her past? Do you believe Richard was justified in wanting to call it quits, or should they have fought harder for their love? Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear all your theories and thoughts on this dramatic split. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy celebrity gossip. Until next time, stay fabulous.